welcome back to the Hakian YouTube channel. Today we're going to be learning about trigonometric ratios, how to find them, and the different sides of the triangles, along with how to write the correct ratios using SOHCAHTOA. So today's learning intention is to understand how to find the trigonometric ratios using the hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent sides, and we'll go into what these are in the next few slides. Today's success criteria is that you can identify the angle using the theta symbol. So that's this one there. And you can identify the appropriate sides of a triangle, the hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent, using the angles as a guide. And when I mean angles, I'm talking about the theta one. I can't even say it right. Or the right angle. So the last success criteria I would like you to try and meet is that you can write appropriate trigonometric ratios, SOHCAHTOA, and I will go through what that means in a second. So here we've got three triangles at the top. So we've got A, B, and C, and this is just essentially just showing you that all triangles are actually, they're relatable. Okay, so if we have a look, if we were given triangle A, okay, so you can see that the angle is here given by the theta symbol and the right angle symbol. Okay, it's consistent between the three triangles. Now if you have a look at the sides, if we look at the bottom one, 12, we can see that if we started off with 12, that they times 2 to get 24. That means if they times 2 up there, they probably did times 2 up the top. So 13 times 2 is 26. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, and that's how we get it. Now if we look over here, we can see 36. So to get from 12 to 36, we had to times 3. So if we times this side by 3, we had to times the other two by 3, and that's how we got 39 and 15. Okay, so this is showing you how triangles can be relatable by multiplying all the sides by the same number, and that will give you a different size triangle, but at the same time they can all be ratioed differently. So over here we've got a sample triangle. You can see something called O, which stands for opposite, hypotenuse, which is denoted by H, and adjacent, which is denoted by A. And we're going to talk about how to identify which side is H, A, and O. But I'm just showing you the general look so that you're familiarizing yourself with how to spell it, what letter to use, and how it's being applied for triangles in this video. So just for in terms of labeling the triangle sides, so we usually deal with right angle triangles, okay, and that's denoted by a little square here and here, you can see. Alright, so usually when we deal with the hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent, we also deal with another angle, okay, and that's denoted by this symbol here, which I've discussed in the success criteria. So the hypotenuse is the longest side opposite the 90-degree angle. 90 degrees denoted by the little square. So if you can see here, this is the right angle, and opposite that is the hypotenuse, okay, and that's denoted by the letter H. So same here, right angle, and if you look opposite there, hypotenuse denoted by the letter H. Okay, now if you have a look, it says the opposite side is opposite the theta angle. So here's a theta. So opposite that is the side called opposite, denoted by O. Okay, so here's the angle, not the right angle, the other angle, and that's denoted by O because it's the opposite as shown by the arrow. Now the remaining side is the adjacent, denoted by A. So it is next to, that's the key word, next to the theta angle, but it is not the hypotenuse. So we can see that here, this angle, the hypotenuse and adjacent is always next to each other. Here, the hypotenuse and adjacent is always next to each other. Okay, so you need to familiarize yourself that this angle here, okay, if we were to do that, okay, so if we were to do this, okay, we know that hypotenuse is opposite the right angle, okay, adjacent is next to the theta but not the hypotenuse, so that would be this one, and opposite the angle would be the opposite side, which is O. Alright, and you can get used to labeling this throughout this exercise. So here is the formula written out in words for you. So we call the sine of angle theta, we usually use this, and this is what you'll see on your calculator as well. So the full name of tan is tangent, the full name of cos is cosine, and the full name for sine, I still say sine. No, it's a sin, but I've always said it as sine. So here we've got sine theta, okay, is opposite side and hypotenuse. So we can say sine equals O and H. That's what this one is, okay? Over here, cos is adjacent over H. Okay, and I'm making this look simpler for you. We're going to talk about it in the next slide. Over here, tan angle is O over A. Okay, and together, this is where I got so. So this is so. C-A, soccer. And this is T-O-A, toa. Okay, that's how I got SOHCAHTOA, and that's an easy way to remember it. So whenever you forget which letters are above and below the line for the fraction, you can always remember these little acronyms. So here we've got SOHCAHTOA. So in simple form, like I said before, okay, sine is O over H, cos is A over H, tan is O over A. And that's just another triangle to show you. It's always the same for the same, if you're doing SOHCAHTOA, it's always the same technique to find the hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent. Okay, so we'll need to remember this. Let me write that down. You need to remember this so that you can apply this. And you need to be able to apply the appropriate formula. So, today you're learning about ratios. You're not really working about how to use the calculator and how to find the answer. It's more so perhaps showing you're working out to work out the answer. So, firstly, when you get given a triangle, you need to find the sides. So, we know that it's SOHCAHTOA. Okay, so opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse, okay? Next to the angle is the adjacent, and opposite the angle is the opposite, okay? You don't need to do the arrows, I'm just showing you, so I'll just write it out for you. I don't know if it's going to get cut off. Hypotenuse, there we are, okay? So, now, what you need to look at is they will give you numbers, okay? So we can see that the number here is 5 on the adjacent and 6 for the opposite. So the question is, out of SOHCAHTOA, out of the last two letters, okay, which ones did they give? I see O, so this one has O, this one has O, this one doesn't have O. We can't use O because O has a number, so we know it's not car. There's an A, okay. So A has a 5, so this one doesn't have A, it's got a H. But this one has an A, so we know that it's going to be TOA. Now, next question is to show you working out. So you know that the tangent, or tan, is O over A. So the fraction, the ratio would be tan theta is 6 over 5, okay? And the trigonometric ratio is 6 over 5. And that's your answer for the ratio only. Later on in the next few exercises, you'll get to work out how to use the calculator in terms of how to solve this and perhaps the inverse of that. Okay, so for this one, let's do this one. So writing SOHCAHTOA. I would probably practice writing them every single time you have a question, just because you want to familiarize yourself with the acronyms so that you can use it. So once you get the rhythm of it, you won't need to do it, but for now I feel like it's a good practice to write it. So opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse, which is H. Opposite the theta is the adjacent, which is A. And opposite the angle is the opposite side, which is O. So here we can see that the adjacent and hypotenuse have been given a number. So we look here and we look for A and H. So this doesn't have A and H. This one has A and H, so we cancel that one because that has O and A. So remembering that this is sine, this is cos, and this is tan, and these you can all find on the calculator. Alright, so we're using this one today. So this one's cos. You need to make sure you practice writing out that as you get into the habit, okay? So then it'd be cos equals 3 over 8 because A is equal to 3 and H is equal to 8, and that's where I've got 3 and 8 from. Okay, so therefore the trigonometric ratio is 3 over 8. Okay, and that's what all you need to do. So we've done that. Now we're going to do the last one. So we can see opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse. Next to the angle over here is adjacent, and opposite the angle is opposite. So we know that in SOHCAHTOA, I've decided to not write the sides out. So we're being familiar with the letters I'm using. We can see O and H are being used because the numbers have been given for O and H. So O and H, there we are, O and H. This is A and H, this is O and A, so we're not using these. So we would write sine theta equals 2 over 3 because, O over H, sorry. And then you would write O being 2 and H being 3. Therefore, the you can even write it if you want, trigonometric ratio is 2 over 3. Or you could write sine 2 over 3. I'd still accept that for now. Alright, and that is how you work out SOHCAHTOA using the different sides of the triangles. So hopefully that helped. Just a bit of a recap. Okay, I want you to be able to practice how to spell hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite. Okay, you need to know a bit of your spelling. That would be awesome. I'd also need you to be able to identify, the sides, whether they are hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite. And at the end, you also need to be able to use the appropriate formula to identify the ratio. So the appropriate formula, SOHCAHTOA. Okay, and that's all what you really need to get out of today's lesson. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.